In very large letters, so to make sure that I could read it. So it's actually, I timed it, it's about 6 minutes, 5 minutes long, but you might enjoy it, so I'll read it. Welcome to Olga Melnykova's exhibition. My name is Gabriel Murray, an art historian and writer of books on various subjects. To date, about 25 books, my last count. From time to time, I also paint portraits. My speech will take about 5 minutes, so I hope you bear with me. Speeches are always difficult to make with points in a few short minutes. However, I hope I'll give you a brief idea about the art exhibition and give it some context. In the last few years, I've written a book on Mona Lisa and two on an Irish and Dutch artist cataloguing their work and analysing their influences. I've become an art historian by a series of encounters and meetings with artists. I admire the writings of the Irish critics like Christian Leach and Aidan Dunn, and in the UK, Brian Sewell and Waldemar Januszak, who made a major contribution of how we understand art and its context. So I'll do as all art critics do and try and add some contribution to the show of Olga's work that I hope will assist you on understanding her aesthetically. We can see a painting in a few seconds. Unless we know the artist and some of its history, one cannot really understand its true importance. I'm pleased to be here in Wicklow town. Just a few words about myself. I'm a graduate of National College of Art and Dublin City University in history. My former professor of art history was Nicola Gordon-Bow. She's buried nearby in Rathrum. In fact, she just died about a year and a half ago. She wrote that beautiful book on the Irish stained glass artist Harry Clarke. She instilled in me a love of art history and cultural history. I became interested in Ukrainian art and culture some years ago. I will just give you some background information on the Ukraine and Ireland and Olga's work in some context. To begin with some points on Ireland's connection with the Ukraine. The United Arts Club in Dublin in 1907 was founded by Countess Constant Gore-Boot and other artists. One artist was her future husband, Count Kazimierz Markowicz, a Polish-Ukrainian count. They visited their family estate near the village of Załtowika in the Ukraine in 1903. The Ukraine ambassador to Ireland plans to build a museum for them there in order to create stronger links between our two countries. Kazimierz Markowicz's paintings can be found in the United Arts Club and the National Gallery of Ireland. He was the first Ukrainian artist to be exhibited there over 100 years ago. I visited Ukraine in the year 2004, and then in August 2021, Lvov, Kiev and Odessa. I wrote two books about Ukrainian culture that covers mainly in relation to the history of Podolia, just on the border with Hungary. This related to Jewish history, silk production, the printing of religious books, and the creation of icons in the town of Podolsk in the 18th century. I also wrote chapters about Odessa and Kiev. Lvov, where Olga comes from, is on the western border of the Ukraine, which is quite close to Poland. This part of the Ukraine used to be part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in the 16th century, so there is a considerable influence of European art in this region. They have a major art collection bigger than the galleries in Europe. I visited the Lvov gallery. It has 62,000 artworks in its collection, including works of Ukrainian, Polish, Italian, French, German, Dutch and Flemish, Spanish, Austrian and other European artists. Olga visited this museum, I'm sure, and it inspired her art. I also visited the Kiev Art Gallery. It has 40,000 art objects. Also, Odessa Art Gallery has 10,000 artworks. these works of art are now under threat from theft. Like many artworks in Eastern Ukraine museums, they have been stolen. A similar situation occurred in the Second World War. It was the subject of a recent film, The Monuments Men, starring George Clooney, when major works of art were stolen by Germany's invading forces. Not only are Ukraine's people vulnerable, but their cultural artworks are also. Many of these works have gone into storage due to the war. The famous historian Waldemar Januszek that I mentioned earlier, who you will see published in the Irish Culture magazine and on BBC, went there in April 2022 during the war and made a documentary on the Lvov art museums and the secret storage of artworks. This museum I visited the year before. The Ukraine has the most extraordinary churches full of gold icons and murals that have been influenced by Byzantine art that was created in the 5th century and continued until the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Empire in 1453. Our most distinguished poet, W.B. Yeats, was fascinated by Byzantine churches and gold icons. He wrote a poem about it, Sailing to Byzantium. Olga has mentioned her love of Yeats in her work. In my research on my history book on the Ukraine, I discovered that the Countess of Desert, a Jewish woman that lived in Kilkenny in southern Ireland, was involved in the rescue along with her banker father, the Baron de Hirsch. I investigated this in my book on the Countess. They donated over 300 million euros to the cause of Ukrainian emigration in the 19th century. This Anglo-Irish charitable cause is now lost to history. Between 1880 and 1914, over 2 million Ukrainians moved westward to Eastern Europe, Poland, Moldova, Romania, and further on hundreds of ships to America and South America to find refuge there. One could never imagine that the last war in Europe in 1945 could repeat itself again. Let us not forget that the official figures say that at least 8 million Ukrainians lost their lives in the last war. Now we have the social impact on a similar level of this war. Over 100 years later, Ukrainians are now on the move again. Since February 2022, over 6 million refugees have fled Ukraine across Europe. Approximately 1/4 of the country's total population has left their homes in the Ukraine. They also take their culture with them, their music, their poetry, their art. Some of them are artists, writers, and musicians, and now they have settled here. They have begun to create again and emerge with a new life that is challenging and difficult, I'm sure, for them. One always hears about the emigrant integration into our society, but it's also important for us to understand their society, their history, and their culture. There have been many exhibitions on Ukrainian artists in Ireland in the last few years. One of the first I find recorded was the 12th of October 2010. The exhibition Ukraine Through the Eyes of Irish Artists, Ireland Through the Eyes of Ukrainian Artists was open in Dublin. The event was organised by the Embassy of the Ukraine in Ireland at the premises of European Commission in Ireland. In the Royal Academy in London, there is currently an important exhibition titled In the Eye of the Storm, Modernism in the Ukraine, 1900s to 1930s. And this exhibition is from the 29th of June to the 30th of October. It is about the groundbreaking modernist art made in Ukraine between 1900 and 1930s. Returning now to Olga's work and Olga's connection with this art world, Olga attended the Ukrainian Art and Architecture School in Kyiv. It was originally known as the Academy of Arts, which was founded in 1917. I discovered that one of the most famous, influential Ukrainian artist, Kazimir Malevich, taught at Olga's school in the 1920s. To give you an idea how important Malevich is today, his last painting sold at Christie's auction house for $85 million. He was an artist and artist whose pioneering work in writing influenced the development of abstract art in the 20th century, all around the world, he invented the art movement called constructivism that influenced the famous Bauhaus art school in Weimar, Germany, where many of its ideas were continued under Mondrian's Stiel group in Holland. Then on to America. The building we are in today was influenced by the ideas of Ukrainian art movement, which was a major impact on the design of modern architecture, furniture and art. One of my art professors at college, Feynman Egan, who died in 2020, was heavily influenced by Malevich and the constructivists. Olga's work is unique. Her art combines imagery, Ukrainian folk art with modern abstract art like Malevich and also Picasso. It's a kind of combination of abstract with the use of traditional Byzantine icons and imagery like sunflowers, which is the national symbol of the Ukraine. The beautiful patterns that she paints are based on the traditional Ukrainian clothes and fabrics known as Risha Talivka embroidery. More recently, our landscapes have been influenced by Ireland, the art of Paul Henry, who painted the great landscapes in the west of Ireland around 1910. Olga's work is a combination of the old and the new. It's an interesting marriage, bringing two forms of art that originated in the Ukraine. One belongs to the traditional folk culture and the other to the modern era. In this show, Ireland and the Ukraine art form are connected and fused together. Her work here is also about puzzles that she refers to in her catalogue that reflects the fragments of many Ukrainian lives that this current war has affected. These paintings reflect the impact it has on their lives as being torn apart by this terrible war. As Olga said in her catalogue, it's the global issues of thousands fleeing war and the impact on their lives. Art is part of a process of interpreting and healing this war that has made a terrible impact on Ukrainian people's lives. And I quote the Irish writer Oscar Wilde: "The good we get from art is not what we learn from it, it's what we become through it." So I hope my words help you understand more about the creation of Olga's work, and I and you, I'm sure, wish to congratulate her on her work here tonight and her achievement in putting this exhibition together. So a clap and well done. Sorry. So you might like to say a few words? Maybe I'll leave the floor to Olga.
Well, now even I understand my art better after your speech. Because sometimes during the process of creation, when I get tired, I think, oh no, it won't work, and then it will take me like 1 week or two. I just put it aside, and then I come back to it saying like, okay, it's not that bad. I'm just hope that the viewer will understand it so as I do. So I hope you're enjoying the evening, and I was just thinking that since the weather is so nice, and we could just move a few chairs over there and continue our chat viewing the sunset. So thank you very much for everyone who came here, because I know that the distance from Dublin for most of you is not very close, so I do appreciate, and I hope that you enjoy my art. Thank you.